It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today. My friends, you have arrived on a Friday. It's the end of a work week and it's going to be a masterpiece Friday, but it's also going to be a cathartic masterpiece Friday. I'm going to be sharing a review of some music by the Moody Blues today in honor of Mike Pinder. Mike Pinder, a co-founder of the Moody Blues and longtime member of the band, who passed away this week. He died at his Northern California home on April 24th, just a few days ago. He was 82, and reports say that he had been suffering from dementia for quite some time. I have been making my way through the core 7 albums of the Moody Blues over the past year or so, and I really have enjoyed his work. He's a pioneer of the Mellotron and keyboards and organs and any keyboard instrument of the day. He's got a wonderful voice and he's a great songwriter. Some of my favorite songs that I've heard from him so far are Dawn is a Feeling from Days of Future Past, Om from In Search of the Lost Chord, So Deep Within You from On the Threshold of a Dream. And today I'm going to honor Mike and the band by releasing my review of To Our Children's Children. I recorded this review for my Patreon community just earlier this month, and it was my first time hearing the album, which is a normal thing for me. So on this album, we're going to hear a few of his songs. Out and In, which is the last song on side 1, a beautiful song where he is recalling his childhood fascination with the night sky. Just a really lovely tune. And on side 2, The Sun is Still Shining, which is a song that reminds us to be humble and open to the wonders of the world. It also serves as a kind of wake-up call to stay grounded and centered among the chaos of the world around us. And he narrates the opening poem by Graham Edge. So we hear his voice, we hear his songs, we hear his keyboard work, and it's going to be quite a lovely and cathartic time as we remember Mike Pinder. He's a person who has just left a legacy, I think, with this band and with his other songs and his other work, and he's going to continue to reach people way into the future, I believe, with all of his work. And it's a sad time. It's a sad time, as our heroes, our musical heroes of the 60s and 70s are aging. It's a sad time. It's a scary time. But it's a time also to reflect and to remember just how great this music is and how wonderful their contribution to our lives with their art has been. So I am pleased to present my review of the entire album, To Our Children's Children, that I recorded just a few weeks ago to our YouTube community in honor of Mike Pinder. Now, hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug for what is going to be our Extended Play Lounge episode number 66. It is time that we made our way back to the Moody Blues, friends, and I'm happy that you are along for the ride. We are continuing on in our exploration of these classic Moody Blues albums in order, which I think is pretty cool. We heard Days of Future Past in episode 22, In Search of the Lost Chord was episode 30, and On the Threshold of a Dream was episode 56. So now we're getting to Our Children's Children. And that's the band's 5th album. It was released in November of 1969. And like their 3 previous albums, this one has a common theme. They were inspired by the space race, especially the Apollo 11 moon landing, which happened while they were recording the album. I can only imagine what it was like to be alive during that time, friends. Really cool. So Mike Pinder remarked how he remembered watching Neil Armstrong touch down on the moon in the middle of the night, UK time, and how the album was all around this moon mission and man's exploration of space in general. And it wasn't just the band members who were mesmerized by space. Their producer, Tony Clark, was a real space enthusiast, and he was one of the ones that led this concept for the band and for this album. And the idea was to think about this time of exploration and what this exploration itself and this mankind achievement felt like. You know, what was their emotions like? What were their hopes like? What did they fear? What were they sure of? What were they not sure of? What, you know, just what was the experience like? And then they thought of this album as almost a sort of time capsule, and imagined that the record might be placed under a foundation stone and rediscovered by humanity a few hundred years in the future. And people are like, okay, this is what these folks who were there on the ground witnessing all of this had to say in their music at the time. Really cool, right? And a great idea for a record. I don't think I've heard any of this, by the way, friends. Some of the Moody Blues stuff I have heard, but as I read in and listed all of the songs and the lyrics, I don't think I know this. So it's really going to be a first time listen, and I'm really pumped to get into it. We've got Justin Hayward. He is on vocals and guitars and the sitar. John Lodge is on vocals, the bass, harp, cello, and acoustic guitar. Ray Thomas is on vocals, the flute, bass flute, and oboe, as well as the tambourine. Mike Pinder is on vocals, the mellotron, a piano, an EMS VCS3, a Hammond organ, the acoustic guitar, a celesta, and a double bass. And then Graham Edge. I almost said Graham drums. Makes sense. Graham Edge is on the drums and percussion. And for this one, y'all, we're using sounds from my own vinyl copy. I imported the audio yesterday and cleaned it up a little bit, and I'm ready to go, friends. And I'm excited by this. As we have seen in albums past, all of the instruments and the vocals that we hear are performed by the members of the band, which I think are pretty cool. So let's get going. I have this set to go all through side 1 and then all through side 2. I love doing that, especially with my own vinyl, because it makes it kind of personal, right? It's almost like we're sitting around just friends, hanging out and listening to some of our own vinyl and enjoying the experience together and then talking about it. It's pretty cool, right? So let's get going. Here is side 1 of To Our Children's Children from the Moody Blues. Off we go. Boom! That is the rocket ship taking off, I do believe. But it's not the actual audio of the rocket ship departing this earth. They recreated this, I think, as I read, with the Mellotron and a Hammond organ, and they were just... It's almost a chant in there, coming out of the noise. We're rising. I could play that part, just put my arm on the keyboard. That's cool. It's a pretty loud and aggressive way for the Moodies to start an album. Here they come. That's D, down to C.
Blasting, billowing, bursting forth with the power of 10 billion butterfly sneezes. Man, with his flaming fire, has conquered the wayward breezes. Climbing to tranquility, far above the cloud, conceiving the heavens, clear of misty clouds.
Bomb, new step. I love how it's kind of climbing and climbing. Go higher and higher and higher. all the way up to that D. They made it a whole octave.
Vast vision must improve our sight.
This is written by Graham Edge.
To our home's endless blight.
Of course, it's got to start with the Graham Edge poem, and Pender is doing the narration.
Its real worth, conceiving the heavens, flourishing on earth.
Now we've learned to play with fire. That's what they're talking about. Okay. Pandora's box. Just reading some of Graham's words here again. Vast vision must improve our sight. Perhaps at last we'll see an end to our home's endless blight. And the beginning of the free climb to tranquility, finding its real worth, conceiving the heavens, flourishing on earth. That's a great poem. Something that I might want to set. It speaks to me. I love this stuff. So it's just a big blast off to start the album. And then the next song is called Eyes of a Child, and this is the first one. There's a couple of these, I think, on the album. This is written by John Lodge, and he provides the vocal. That's a harp, and it's really soft. It's interesting how I lean in so that I can hear it better when it's just coming through here. So we're in the same key. It's D as the first one. Down to C, to B, to A. Cool. Turn to relative minor or parallel minor for a second, then back. Now we're in G, so that D at the beginning might have been a dominant then. Cool. Okay, Eyes of a Child. So we've just experienced liftoff, right? And now we're filled with wonder, and we're trying to, look through this with awe and naivete. Without judgment or prejudice or bias, just filled with wonder at what we see and experience. And I loved that bass flute that was going on there. Chromatics going down. That sounds like a 5 to 1 back to G. Eyes of a Child. Bass, flute, and harp on a rock and roll record. Bass flute's a real color instrument. It's gotta be pretty open texture-wise to hear it well. Next song, Floating, from Ray and Ray's on vocals. Almost reminds me of a Ringo song. So it's called Floating. So now that we're up off the ground, I think we're on the moon. And we're taking a stroll. And there's not much gravity, so we kind of float around. Take a stroll amongst the stars.
Get a close look at planet Mars.
Do as you please with so much ease. It's part of it. The moon's our own bounce house, y'all. Just, it's a problem of breathing. We got to get around. Get your feet off the ground. Oh, you'd like it. I like this one. And again, kind of space-like sounds. You got celesta, you got some mellotron, kind of glissandoing in the background, I think. That optimistic, hopeful fifth of that chord, melodically. Also sounds great in my headphones here, right off the vinyl. And this is an older album. It's not one of these new ones with the really thick sounds, so it's classic sounds. Next up is Eyes of a Child 2, so the second one here, and again, this one's by John. That's the 5 chord. 6, 4. You must come out and see that your world's spinning around, and through life you will be a small part of a hope, of a love that exists. It's that awe and wonder of a child like, point of view. Okay, the first tune by Justin, and this is a Justin vocal. I never thought I'd live to be 100. So we're talking about relativity, maybe? So the passage of time and the emotions of long-term space travel, maybe.
get to do the things that all those other songs do.
And they do. I never thought I'd live to be 100. I never thought I'd get to do the things that all those other songs do, and they do.
An age ago my maker was refusing me the pleasure of the view.
Back in D. Short. Okay. Beyond. This one's another one by Graham. Not just writing poetry anymore, writing some music here. And this is an instrumental. That's the Mellotron. It's pretty cool to have the Mellotron kind of out front. I read that they were trying to capture the sound of Saturn or Jupiter in that. Pretty cool. Short. Okay, Out and In. Lots of songs here. From Mike and John, and Mike is on the vocal. Out and In. Such cool sounds. Can't imagine what it was like to try to record and dub and overlay all of this stuff. With just the available tools at the time. Pretty cool. It's moving around, I think. Was that still Beyond? I'm just listening. Are they just traveling around and trying to find the right radio station? They're just trying to find some tunes as they're flying around in their spaceship. It must still be Beyond. They're just overlaying all this stuff. Now we're to this next song, Out and In.
Looking for total view. I've been lying here for hours. You gotta make a journey out and in.
You gotta make a journey out and in. I think he's talking your imagination.
Of a lifetime, right there before your eyes, searching with this life of ours. You gotta make a journey.
Gotta make the journey out and in. Wonders of a lifetime right there before your eyes, searching with this life of ours.
Then you think it's a joke, but that's alright. Do what you want to do.
also read that Mike Pinder had a real fascination with this stuff, especially as a child. Apparently, he experienced a couple of UFO experiences, and he really had a fascination with the night sky. And it earned him the nickname Mikey the Moon Boy. You're in the right spot, Mikey. That's an A, and it's working as the dominant to D. Except we go to C, and then the G. 1, 5. Cool. A little Mixolydian progression there around that 5. Laying here for hours. You ever done that? Lay on the ground and just look up at the stars? It's been a long time for me. And this is going to end the first side. Cycle this out. And if you think it's a joke, that's all right. Do what you want to do. I've said my piece, and I'll leave it all up to you. Gazing past the planets, looking for total view. I've been laying here for hours. You got to make the journey out and in. Out and in. Well, we're halfway through our journey, and I'm loving this. It's got a real sensibility to it that's inviting. And it was a great first side experience, so let's turn it over and get to side 2, shall we? I'm ready to go, so let's keep going. The next song, on the first one on side 2, is another one by Justin Hayward, and Justin also does the vocals here. It's called Gypsy of a Strange and Distant Time, and I read that this one became a well-loved song in their live set during these years. So let's start. Side 2, friends. To our children's children's children. Side 2. Off we go. Acoustic guitar, little flute. E minor, major 4, flat 6. Cool chromatic move there. I think I've heard this. Cool. Left without a hope of coming home. That's why it's called Gypsy, I guess. There's an A major chord and a C chord before it gets back to E. C sharp to C to B, melodically coming down there. Screaming for a future that can never be. about Justin's voice, right? He's got a special quality to his voice. It's pretty cool. To compare a space traveler with a gypsy, right? Both of them are like nomads. You know, they don't really have a home base to come back to. I wish they had Graham's drums a little bit more present. This one has a kind of a driving beat to it. And I wish I could hear the tambourine and the drums just a little more present in this mix. They are left without a hope of coming home. Next up, Eternity Road from Ray. And Ray sings this one as well.
Listen, here he comes.
Hark, listen, here he comes. I read that these lines were words that Ray remembered as a kid during World War II when they would go and hide in air raid shelters. Searching to find a peace of mind. Aren't we all? Major 4, 1. Major 4 for Dorian mode, right? D minor, G major. Now I think it's just back to G minor. Eternity Road. It's an interesting thing. Eternity Road. So it's, again, considering time, right? Our understanding of time as Earth beings is based on our sun, where we are, on the planet, the season that it's in, the moon phases, like hours, and how fast we're spending, all of that. You get out into space. What does time mean? back. It's like playing in C major, but you keep landing on D as the one chord instead of C. You know? You're using the same scale as you would in C major, but you're playing in D. That gives it a flair that D minor, as a key that typically has one flat, would be close to, but not quite the same. It gives it that little bit of flair. Okay, I like that one. Right into the next one. Woo! And a way different key. Candle of Life. This one's by John, and John and Justin share the vocal on this one. All of a sudden, way into sharps. Hear the difference? Sounds like 4. What was that? 1. That's 5 and 6. 5, 6. C sharp minor, I think.
Something there outside says we're rolling in the hands of time.
More on time, right? This is going to internally what the actual experience of this exploration, how it impacts us as humans, I think. It's there for us to know with love that we can go burn slowly the candle of life. It's lonely out there. I'm looking back at the first verse. Something you can't hide says you're lonely, hidden deep inside. Of you only. It's there for you to see, take a look and be, burn slowly the candle of life. So we're tackling some loneliness here, separation. Amen to that. So love everybody. Make them your friends. That's what we do here in the Daily Doug, right? I'm okay with that approach to life. Love the keyboard strings in this. The good old Mellotron.
It's there for you to see. Take a look and be. Burn slowly the candle of life.
7, 1. Then it goes
Something there outside.
to 3. It's a relative major. The E chord. Down to B. So is that B 5 to E? F sharp to E. It's nebulous here. Is he in E or is he in C sharp? Goes down to the B.
It's there
And he goes to C sharp.
with love that we can go. Burn slowly.
C sharp. C sharp's where it ends, right? But it's making use of both the available chords in the parallel major and minor. I'm loving this. Again, it reminds me of something that I would say with Big Big Train albums. It reminds me more of it coming from a place of almost classical construction, almost a suite, you know, but we're using rock instruments to mix with some of these orchestral sounds.
Look at the view. Moon is still dining with me and you.
Pender's got a low voice.
Open your heart to the universe
Of which we're a part. Oops. The sun is still shining. This one's by Mike. Some strings in there, maybe the sitar.
turning around. See with your mind, leave your body behind. Now that we're
Now that we're out here, open your heart to the universe
to the universe
of which we're a part. I'll get it at some point.
But if you want to play, stay right back on Earth,
Stay back on Earth.
waiting for rebirth.
It's a cool move. On the word rebirth. Okay. If you want to play Stay Right Back on Earth, waiting for rebirth. So the sun is still there. The moon is still there. Even though we've done these things, it's important to stay grounded and centered and remember that things may be changing, but our place in the universe is still, you know, hasn't really changed, you know? Stay humble, stay open
But if you want
to the wonders,
stay right back on Earth,
you know? Don't get mired down
waiting for rebirth.
waiting for, you know, something to happen. Be a part of it. I like it. I hear that as an A. Pretty sure. After this, there's only 2 left. We're getting close to the end. Back to a reprise of Justin Hayward's tune. I never thought I'd live to be now a million.
Never thought I'd get to be a million.
Time ticking away.
Never thought I'd get to be the thing that all his other children see.
A short reprise. Wow. He stuck that in. It's like, boys, we got an extra 30 seconds on this album. Can we do anything? Yeah, let's do another verse of Justin's song from the side 1. Okay. This one is called Watching and Waiting. It's the only single release from the album. And it's from Hayward and Thomas. And Justin sings the lead on this.
And waiting for a friend
nice resolution to major 1. So I hear that as fa to mi. Beautiful. There's the resolution to the major 1 chord.
Here, there's lots of room for doing the things you've always been denied.
5 and 5.
Look and gather all you want to. There's no one here to stop you trying.
I love Justin's songs.
Soon you will see me, 'cause I'll be all around you. But where I come from, I can't tell.
He's kind of lost his sense of home.
Don't be alarmed by my fields and my forests.
He's alone here.
They're here for only you to share.
I read that he wrote this one before they decided on this particular theme of space
There's lots of room for doing
for this album.
you've always been.
And he altered it to kind of fit into the theme, and as a result,
Look and gather all
it's a little more metaphorical, obtuse.
here to stop you trying.
Cool.
Watching and waiting for someone to understand.
Reminds me of What Was I Made For from Billie Eilish. Uses the exact same chords, F major 7 down to that E minor. And then C. C major. You know, it's the one without any flats or sharps, and so it's the one that a lot of people play. It's a melancholy key. It really is. Is that how it's gonna fade out and end? What are these lyrics? Soon you will see me, 'cause I'll be all around you, but where I come from I can't tell. But don't be alarmed by my fields and my forests, they're here for only you to share. Because here there's a lot of room for doing the things you've always been denied, so look and gather all you want to. There's no one here to stop you trying. Watching and waiting for someone to understand me. I hope it won't be very long. So if he was originally writing this as a love song, it was, you know, loneliness in the wake of an ended relationship. Now I think it's loneliness in a sparsely inhabited or almost forgotten world. And he's just waiting for someone there to validate what he's thinking and what he's feeling. Isolation can be a weird thing for humans. You know, we're you know, evolutionarily social animals. And that's what has made the last few years with the pandemic so scrambling, I think, for all of our brains, and kind of reestablishing what it means to be social. And there's a lot, it turns out in this day and age, there's lots of different ways to be social. Take what we're doing here. You know, I think that we've got real relationships. and I consider all of y'all as friends, and some of y'all as really close friends, even though we may not have ever met in person. It's just spending time with each other, even virtually. It works. At least for me, it does. I love that album. I really do. It's obviously the Moody Blues, but it's a continuation of their sound. I thought it was really well integrated, in that concept. A few tidbits here as we finish out the episode. I read that the layers of the overdubs and the instrumentation that we heard on the album made playing these songs live in concert quite difficult. It led to them scaling back the production approach on what would be their next album, A Question of Balance. We'll get to that at some point in the future. And as a result, Justin mentioned that this is one of their albums that didn't quite translate well to radio. The layering is delicate, and the sound is actually quite soft. And so it just wasn't one of these rock and roll records that sort of lived on radio. It lived on the turntable for folks, I think. And this last song, Watching and Waiting, was meant to be another song in the milieu of Nights in White Satin as a big-time sort of hit for the band, but it didn't land with that kind of commercial appeal. It's hard to capture lightning in a bottle twice, especially with a similar approach. It's not easy. I also read that the band remembers their sessions in the studio while they were recording this quite fondly. They seem to really enjoy the focus on this point of view, and they seem to gel as a band and as a team of musicians, all collaborating and making the most out of these songs. And Mike Pinder said that the album, quote, still lifts you off the planet. In a sense, it was ahead of its time, as were the moon landings when you look back on them. Yeah. I came of age in the shuttle era. And, I was talking to my mom about this album and this time, and it just reminded me, Mom was right around her 16th birthday. She had a vivid memory of the moon landing. It was the same week as her 16th birthday. And she remarked how special it was. She remembered being there with her friends in school, just watching and listening and being amazed by it. And I remember, them in the 80s, early mid 80s, wheeling in the big TV on the cart, and we're watching Challenger, and then that happened. I think I was in 4th grade, maybe 5th grade. Mom remarked on how that time was special. I was curious, because I've read about the political upheaval of the time and the culture wars, the ongoing escalation in Vietnam, the wake of the Civil Rights Act and integration here in America and all that stuff. And it seems as though this societal, cultural expectation or concentration on the space and the moon itself, space exploration and the moon itself, that became a way for folks to kind of step back from all of those harsh things to deal with on the planet and give a more bigger than ourselves, something larger than ourselves sort of approach. You know what I mean? And it's really cool to think about how that could galvanize everybody and give us something to collectively root for instead of fighting with each other. I also read that this was a record that played a small role in our international diplomacy. There was, I think, a ping pong player from Britain that took this album to China, and it ended up being one of the first pieces of Western popular music to be heard and enjoyed in Red China at the time, right? I love it, y'all. The Moodies always give us a very lovely listening experience. And even though this album's songs didn't do great on the radio, I think it's a lovely listening experience, especially here with the headphones on. I really enjoyed it. And it was still a commercial success, a solid success, not one of their bigger albums, but it was a pretty good, solid success from album sales, and it was critically well received. And I think these songs hold up, friends. I really do. It's coming up on 55 years later this year that this was released. But it takes you back to a time, and for somebody like me who wasn't around during that time, it's a special listen. So it's great to do a Doug's Choice this time, y'all. I think it's my first one of the year, and it's great to get back to the Moodies. We are going through their entire early kind of classic albums in order, and I think it's the only band that I've had a chance to do that with. I thought I might have been able to do it with Led Zeppelin, but y'all wanted Houses of the Holy first, so I'm like, screw it, we're going in there. And everything's been kind of haphazard, where I learned some of a band's music and then kind of go back and forth in their discography. Here we started, actually, I'm not even sure what their first album is. We started with their second album, and so we've done albums 2, 3, 4, and 5 here now with Days of Future Past, Search of the Lost Chord, Threshold of a Dream, and to our children's children, right? So our great-grandchildren, that could be about that time. We're 55 years later, so it is maybe for us in this time to think back a half century at least. We don't have to wait a couple hundred years. We can enjoy and go back to this time and appreciate their art, even in our current situation. So this is fun. We'll get to another EPL poll, I think, for next time, and I'm not sure what's going to be in there at this point, but we'll have fun and see what comes next when the time comes. And I believe that's going to be all for me today, friends. Thank you for being with me. I will see you next time on another edition of the Daily Doug.